transition out of my hustle and I found the right one for myself. She honestly, she put me in a situation where she gave me the two greatest treasures on the planet. My two kids. I have two beautiful, oh my goodness, absolutely gorgeous girls. Gentlemen, damn girls already know which straps. I'm strapped up. I ain't get strapped up till I had no damn kids. I used to talk shit for years, so bitch, I'm loaded now. You come with my kids, I'm coming with your head. My mom always told me that, you know, whether you have, you know, sons and daughters, you know, when you have your kids, that attachment is something that you honestly verbally you can't necessarily explain. When you love your kids, you unconditionally love your kids. You know, my life has taken me in some amazing factors, you know, degrees. I looked up, I got my shot at the league, the NFL, and all that. And none of that shit matches up to my kids. Like none of them. Ordeals in my life to get to some heights. And they are my greatest accomplishment because who and how I am is because of them. They made a lot of adjustments, you know. Now that piece explain itself about how I feel about my kids.
One of the most beautiful and equally terrifying things to me is being the father of two daughters in this 21st century, watching them both play and build sandcastles peacefully with their mother by the Atlantic Ocean. And as much as I love to see how much both of my daughters love to want to give everybody that pass them by an affectionate smile and a hug, it's always overshadowed by that dark cloud of reality of how I must readjust the naive nature and use of their trust. How I must be the unconditionally loving father that promptly prepares them both for the eventual bad days and tomorrows that will eventually show up. With the many like users and abusers that endlessly run and follow us all through the valleys of the good people. Just like the individual shadows that none of us can ever completely get rid of is exactly why I must maximize their senses. Do everything I can so neither of them ever becomes another senseless victim that any killer, sexual predator, senseless sinner across the globe can ever claim on their bucket list as another successful accomplishment that they've helped become famous for being another sad story. Just like any of the ones described in any city, state, or country's most infamous and heinous cases taken on by a local First 48 or Special Victims Unit. So my goodness, I need them both to listen and not pretend to play clueless to most of not all of the good knowledge that I give them. Because I've already been warned and informed that whether it's 1 thing or 1 million, your children, they will eventually rebel against you on something. So I've been heavily advised to master life skill and art of extreme meditating and patience to keep my blood pressure from overloading on any of those days that either one of my daughters are crazy enough to ever rebel against me or their mother. You see, ladies and gentlemen, I was raised old school. And though it's extremely early, while their mother slowly but surely teaches and raises them both from a positive woman's perspective of how they can best excel and garner respect for themselves as future global leading women, I, as their father, must slowly but surely teach and raise them both from a positive male's perspective of how a family properly sticks together, whether we're rich or broke. Yes. How it's possible for any man and it's possible for them both. Yes. You don't just settle for mediocre when others believe you won't. We're all human on this globe, so I'm protecting their hopes and keeping the little things available, like the endless kisses and hugs, an ear or a shoulder for talking or leaning on. So a long time from right now, when I give them both away to someone, it won't be a complete surprise when I expect them both to end up with a guy similar to the type of dude their father is, and who I become, one who is loyal, lovable, and reliable. Because they know it'd be unwise and a complete waste of time to end up ambitiously in love with the same type of dude I used to be when I was no good, confused, and fucking unreliable. You see, I just wish I could stay in that perfect place in my favorite way of life, just watching them both play and build those sandcastles in peace by the Atlantic Ocean with their mother forever. Instead of having to always constant worry if they both will forgive me wholeheartedly, every time that my mood and mannerisms change on them at the same erratic pace, that wind is blowing in every direction coming off that Atlantic Ocean. But on the contrary to popular belief, I'm not struggling with having any issues of having ADD or from being bipolar. Just a man doing the very best he can to prepare for all those unavoidable life storms that I can't outrun and hide my daughters from forever. But one thing's for sure, when those unavoidable storms eventually show up, they will find me waiting on them as the last line of defense, admittedly scared to death, but undeniably ready.